Every postseason there seems to be at least one or two kind of unknown, under-the-radar players who end up being big heroes, including this postseason where we saw Howie Kendrick help carry the Nationals to the World Series. So it got me thinking about some other postseason heroes in the past that kind of went under the radar that you might have forgotten about. So in today's video, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you about postseason heroes from previous seasons that you have forgotten about. I'm thinking about doing a part 2 to this video along with World Series heroes for another one. So if you want to see those videos, make sure to leave a like on it. I see a bunch of likes. We'll definitely get those out this week. Remember to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the content we're doing over here, always talking about baseball. Remember to get in the comment section down below. Tell me about some of your favorite playoff heroes that maybe went under the radar or are forgotten about. And of course, as I've been saying throughout the entire postseason, I will be streaming on Twitch tonight, watching Game 4 between the Yankees and the Astros. So if you want to watch that along with me, twitch.tv/GiraffeNeckMarc, link in the description. For the first player of today's video, let's head back to the 2005 NLDS series between the Houston Astros and the Atlanta Braves. The Astros had the 2-1 lead over the Atlanta Braves, winning Game 1 and 3, and were in an absolute battle of a game in Game 4, which lasted 18 innings long. But in the bottom of the 18th inning, a scrappy hitting outfielder, didn't hit for a lot of power, was a rookie at the time by the name of Chris Burke, stepped up to the plate against Joey Devine and hit one of the biggest home runs in Houston Astros playoff history. Burke hits the ball just far enough into the Crawford boxes in left field off Atlanta rookie pitcher Joey Devine. That home run by Burke propelled them into the NLCS, where they beat the Cardinals and then eventually lost in the World Series to the White Sox. In that playoff run though, Chris Burke was fantastic for the Astros, hitting 2 home runs, driving in 4 RBIs, hitting .286 with a .375 on base, .607 slugging, and a .982 OPS. On a team loaded with talent such as Lance Berkman, Craig Biggio, Roy Oswalt, Andy Pettit, and Roger Clemens, Chris Burke's name gets lost in the shuffle. He really helped out that Astros team. Next up for forgotten postseason heroes, we're gonna go to the New York Mets and talk about Todd Pratt, and this is a home run I remember very well. One of my first memories. I was only 3 years old at the time. In Game 4 of the 1999 NLDS, the New York Mets were playing at home in Shea Stadium against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, Todd Pratt wasn't the only player who played well in this game. Benny Agbayani, who hint could be in part 2 of this video, he slapped an RBI double. Edgardo Alfonso had some key hits, but Pratt sealed the deal. Battling all game, the game goes into extra innings with Todd Pratt stepping up to the plate in the bottom of the 10th inning with a chance to win the game. Todd Pratt, not known as a great hitting catcher, only 3 home runs on the season, was the backup to Mike Piazza at this time. He cemented himself in Mets history with one swing of the bat, where he crushes a home run to dead center field off Matt Manti of the Arizona Diamondbacks. I remember at only 3 years old watching this game at my grandma's house, calling up my dad on the phone to tell him about what happened. It's one of my favorite postseason memories, and I feel like a lot of Mets fans forget about this guy. But without him, we might not move on to the NLCS back in '99, and it was truly a great postseason hero moment. For our next forgotten postseason hero, he's actually a manager of a Major League Baseball team this year. That's gonna be Dave Roberts. Now, Dave Roberts was never really an impact player during his 10-year career, but he did the little things in the game that mattered. And in 2004 in the ALCS against the New York Yankees, Dave Roberts made a huge impact in a game that ended up completely swaying how the series went and helped the Red Sox become the first ever team to come back from 3-0 in a series to win it. In Game 4 of the 2004 ALCS, Dave Roberts was on first base. The Red Sox were trailing the Yankees 4-3 in the bottom of the 9th, and they were on the heels of being eliminated from the playoffs. On the mound for the Yankees was Mariano Rivera, the greatest closer of all time, and for the Red Sox, they had Bill Miller at the plate. On the first pitch thrown by Mariano Rivera, Dave Roberts steals second base easily, putting the tying run in scoring position. 2 pitches later, Bill Mueller scorches one by Mariano Rivera, drives in the game-tying run, which was Dave Roberts, who stole second base, and the rest is history. The Red Sox came back from being down 3-0 in the series to beat the Yankees, move on to the World Series, and end up winning the 2004 World Series, breaking the Great Bambino curse. Without Dave Roberts stealing that base, we might have never seen the Grays come back in MLB history, and the Red Sox might have never been the 2004 World Series champions. For the fourth forgotten postseason hero, we're going to go all the way to 2012 and talk about the Detroit Tigers ALCS MVP from the 2012 ALCS, Delmon Young. The 2012 ALCS was between the Detroit Tigers and the New York Yankees, with the Tigers sweeping the Yankees in the ALCS, moving on in 4 games. Now, the reason Delmon Young is included in this video is because he went off in this ALCS and had a fantastic performance, and honestly, I don't feel like anybody ever talks about him, hence why he's forgotten. In Game 1 of the ALCS that went 12 innings with the Tigers winning 6-4, Delmon Young was 3 for 6 with a double, a home run, 3 RBIs. Pretty solid game. In Game 3, Delmon Young hit a solo shot in the 4th inning off Yankees starter Phil Hughes in a game that the Tigers ended up winning only 2-1. And then in Game 4, he went 2 for 4 with an RBI, walk, in an easy victory for the Tigers 8-1 over the Yankees. Delmon Young went on to have a very strong World Series despite the Tigers getting dominated by the Giants in 2012, but he definitely deserves to be considered a postseason hero in 2012. Staying in that exact same postseason, we're going to move on over to the 2012 National League side this time to talk about the NLCS MVP of that series, Marco Scutaro, which is a player I feel like a lot of you haven't talked about or heard about in a long time. Marco Scutaro throughout his career was a bit of a journeyman infielder, never really much of a hitter, very solid fielder, but he bounced around from team to team. In the NLDS and World Series in 2012, Scutaro had little to no impact, but in that same postseason during the NLCS, Scutaro went off, having one of the hotter moments in his MLB career. In the 7-game series against the Cardinals, Marco Scutaro hit .500, 14 for 28, with 3 doubles, scoring 6 runs, driving in 4 RBIs, and walking twice. He had an OPS at 1140, a slugging percentage at .607, and an on-base at .533. Even though it is a small sample size, these are clearly the best numbers he's ever put up in his career, and was either a key hitter or a runner in a lot of the big moments in this series for the Giants. Scutaro was never one of the top infielders of his time, so he definitely goes forgotten about, which is why he finds himself on this video. Sterling Hitchcock. That's probably not a name that you've ever heard, and if you did, you definitely forgot about him. Well, back in 1998, Sterling Hitchcock won the NLCS MVP for that postseason. He had a fantastic performance for the Padres and was crucial in help bringing them to the World Series that season. Hitchcock, similar to a lot of players in this video, wasn't great during the regular season. In 98, he was 9-7 with a 3.93 ERA, appeared in 39 games, 27 of those being starts, did throw a complete game shutout though one game, but he really wasn't a top pitcher. Well, in the 1998 NLCS, Sterling Hitchcock had the best series of his life. Coming off a strong performance in the NLDS in Game 4 to clinch the series for the Padres over the Houston Astros, where he struck out 11 batters in 6 innings, Hitchcock continued in the NLCS. While only throwing 5 innings, he struck out 6 batters and got out of a lot of tough jams. They may have been due to him walking 5 batters in 5 innings, but he got the big outs when needed. He did so again in Game 6, getting a second win of the series, pitching another 5 innings, allowing only 2 hits, 3 walks, and striking out 8 batters in that game as well. For a relatively unknown pitcher in the grand scheme of baseball history, Sterling Hitchcock had a great performance in the NLCS and the NLDS, and it feels like nobody ever talks about it. For our second to last player, we're going to talk about the 2002 playoffs, specifically the San Francisco Giants, who of course, as we know, made it to the World Series and lost, which is why he won't be a World Series hero. But as a postseason hero, Rich Aurilia needs to be talked about. Now, I don't know why, but Rich Aurilia is a player that's always going to be graved into my memory. Doesn't really make sense, I'm not sure why, but I guess as a young kid watching so many Barry Bonds highlights, I saw Rich Aurilia a lot as well, and to be fair, he had some really good seasons. Now, 2002 wasn't necessarily one of those, it was actually probably one of the worst seasons of his career, but in that postseason, he went off. In the 2002 NLDS against the Atlanta Braves, he had 2 homers, 7 RBIs, an OPS at 844. He followed it up in the NLCS, hitting 2 more homers, going 5 for 15, driving in 5 runs, and OPS at 1200, and specifically his performance in Game 2 of the 2002 NLCS is what stands out, where he was 2 for 3 that day with 2 homers in the game, 3 RBIs, and reached base 3 out of 4 times that game. It was basically the reason they won that game. And he continued to hit home runs in the World Series, hitting another 2 homers with 2 doubles in the World Series against the Angels, where he hit .250 but had a .500 slugging percentage. I call him a postseason hero because unfortunately this Giants team didn't win the World Series, so it's tough to give someone a hero of something they didn't win, but for the postseason as a whole, Rich Aurilia was fantastic. For our final player of the video, we head to the 2006 NLCS, where we talk about the NLCS MVP Jeff Suppan. I must love torturing myself because this is one of my worst moments that I remember as a Mets fan. The Mets were the clear favorites to take this series. They dominated the entire regular season, and they were coming up against the Cardinals, who skated their way into the playoffs. We obviously know how it ended, where in Game 7, Carlos Beltran took a nasty curveball from Adam Wainwright down the middle, but I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about Jeff Suppan. Suppan, for his career, was a starting pitcher who had an under .500 record, an ERA approaching 5, and a WHIP approaching 1.5. He wasn't very good, and for the 2006 season, it wasn't like he had a career year. 4.12 ERA in 32 starts, a WHIP again approaching 1.5, only striking out 100 batters. He wasn't even the ace of that staff. But in that NLCS against the New York Mets, Jeff Suppan was on another level. He got his first start in Game 3 up against the Mets, where the Cardinals ended up winning that game 5-0. Suppan pitched 8 innings of 3-hit baseball, only walking 1 batter and striking out 4. Again, not crazy dominant stuff, but pitching 8 innings and giving up 0 runs, that's a really solid performance if you ask me. He then followed it up 4 games later in Game 7. We all know how that game ended, but he pitched the first 7 innings of that game very well. 7 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 5 walks, striking out 2. And despite those walks, he was able to get out of big jams for the Mets hitters, who had a very dangerous lineup that season. He continued to pitch well in the World Series, got a start in Game 4, but his big performance was in the NLCS. It won him the MVP of the series, and unless you're a Cardinals fan, you probably forgot this guy ever existed. He was completely overshadowed by that Wainwright strikeout. So those are the postseason heroes I chose to include in this video. Trust me, I still got a lot more on my list, it's just I didn't want this video to be like 30 minutes long. So if you want to see a part 2 of postseason heroes, or maybe you want to even see the World Series heroes video, make sure to leave a like on it. That's the best way to tell me you want to see more. Remember to get in the comment section down below. Was there someone that I forgot about in this video? A forgotten postseason hero that was forgotten about in the forgotten postseason hero video? Well, you can tell me who they are down in the comments below. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you love baseball content. This is where you need to be. Click that sub button, join the team. And remember, I'm going to be streaming on Twitch, twitch.tv/GiraffeNeckMarc. I'm watching the postseason games over there, so if you want to watch along with me in the chat, it's a great place to do it. We're going to wrap up the video there, though. YouTube recommends you watch watch this video right here, as well as this is my most recent upload. So click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you so much for watching today's video, guys, and I'll see you all next time.